super exciting stuff. Almost as exciting as it was acquiring this collection. And at certain points of this 300,000+ unit collection, I wouldn't even say it was exciting. I would say that it was almost sickening, like pits in your stomach, anxiety-driven, mental anguish. We were going crazy, Jeff. We almost didn't get this collection. This is how you lose a giant. We'll get to the pricing, but over $1 million collection.
Yeah, God. So that's a long journey to get to that. So let me break this down a little bit.
Maybe we just start, give them a little bit of a prelude here. We've already talked about this on the show, but to any new listeners, you got hit up by your dentist. Hey, there's somebody who's got a collection they inherited. I passed them your number. We were the first ones to see it. We'll get into that a little bit more today. But after that initial communication, the offers were initially made, that's when the chaos began.
Yeah, so for me to get from hearing first about this collection to actually finally seeing it and stressing out about getting there first, because that's the thing. I believe, some people think differently, that you want to be the first to look at a collection. Okay, some people want to be the last person, but you don't know who the last person is. So you should, I think, always try to be at least the first.
Sure.
Okay, and make that first great impression. All right, and hopefully the first is the last. That, I think, should be your goal. All right, like I said, there's a lot of competition out there. So I would say it's at least 3+ weeks from me getting my initial email to making a phone call to finally being able to schedule with these people to look at this collection. All right, and then I had you come as well so we can take a look at it together. Because from what I understood, there was an alleged amount of this book, of this collection, okay, which started off at like maybe 100,000, but by the time we got to see it, they had calculated at closer to 350,000 books we're going to look at. That's a lot of books. You cannot look at 350,000 books.
You can't price them.
Right. And so they've spent this entire time trying to organize it for us as best as possible, which is nice for people to do, okay, if plausible, but that did take extra time.
It was astounding. And there were parts of this process that I do want to share, and we'll get to about what we did that day, how we made a first good impression. I actually think that we did them a huge solid. They were very grateful. They trusted us immediately. You're letting people into your home that they inherited, and at first it was like they were there. They wanted to watch everything that we did, right? Because we got to prove ourselves. But we came prepared. We proved ourselves, and it got to the point where they were like going outside while we were just doing what we were there to do. And after we made the initial offer, we were waiting anxiously what was going to happen. And we had a really good feeling that we were going to get it. But we were also concerned because were there going to be more people that were going to get involved? And then what would that look like in regards to the process over time? So I remember you letting me know that it wasn't looking good because you hadn't gotten updates yet.
We're jumping around a little bit here on how the story is going to go, but this is what's going on. So if we're going to go down this path of telling it this way, this is what I'm going to say. The whole process was long because right after we made our offer, they did mention they want to get a second opinion,
sure,
which is totally understandable, and it was recommended to them by their real estate agent, who happened to know another comic person. Okay, so that made things a little bit more difficult, right? Because now their real estate agent is giving them advice. So it's somebody now meddling in the deal that you had already because of circumstance, all right? So that's the thing. You never know what's going to happen when time goes on.
The thing that started to happen was you started to lose your freaking mind. I can at least say that much.
At some point, after being involved in it, okay, because it went from getting a second opinion to now there's 3 opinions. And this 3 opinions each are now involved in a bidding war, okay? And that was interesting because every time I was always the one most aggressive. Like after seeing this collection, I was like, I'm winning it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. I am getting this collection, all right? I'm going for it like 100%. And that's just because there was a lot of Golden Age stuff there and Silver Age, and whatever else was there was extra stuff, and I'll make it work, all right? But I knew I was all in on this collection. But I had to trust the process. That was the phrasing they loved to use, trust the process. But after, I swear to God, 10 weeks, this whole process, I mean, I was losing my mind a little bit like, is there really 2-3 people I'm bidding against?
Dude, can I tell him the whole private eye thing?
Oh, man.
Can I?
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
so
just
I
go
get
for it.
this is a real story. I know Jeff's losing his mind. Every time I'm hanging out with him, we do stuff like this. We're doing the podcast, we're doing videos, I'm talking to him on the phone, and there'll be times that you just like drift off, or your phone rings and you're like, you're always alert, but you're like really alert. You're like, who is it? And you're, oh, okay, well, it's this person, whatever. But you're waiting for any updates on this collection for weeks. And there was a point that you called me and you're like, dude, I just need to talk to you real quick. And you said, yo, I just need you to tell me. This is a true story, Comic Fam. I need you to just tell me, is this crazy? I'm not sure if there's other people bidding on this or if they're lying. And I really want to know if there are people who it is. Because, like, you got to imagine, this is an expensive collection. It's going to get up there in price if we don't know any information. We also don't know how to, like, talk to them. And I want to get into that whole thing. But on top of all of those things, what if you have, like, a heritage involved? You know, really deep pockets. Is this kind of, like, even worth fighting for? Like, these are all questions you're starting to think about. And you said, should I hire a private eye to see if we can spy to find out who shows up to view this collection? And then you took a breath and then you were like, I know that sounds crazy, but is it crazy? I just got to do something, man. I just got to do something, because you knew that it was nuts, but you had to hear me tell you. You probably don't want to do that, Jeff.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I was losing it because it's like I said, I was involved longer than any of the other people who got involved, right? And then I'm always the highest bidder. And so it would be like someone makes a bid, and then everyone has an opportunity to outbid that person. And then if that person outbid you, then everyone had a person to raise it again. So this was a long process. Literally like 10 weeks I've been dealing with this, while everyone else is dealing it for like 3 to 4 weeks maybe.
So there's two ways that this could have gone down. The ideal way is we go in there, we make a great offer, we take care of business, and maybe they facilitate a second offer, a third offer, and then they kind of stand back and go, hey, we're going to go with the people that we want to go with. The other route is a bidding war. Trust the process, meaning let's see how much we can squeeze out of the top bidder. Like, squeeze it dry.
Yes and no. And I'll say this why. Now, I do respect the people who were selling this collection because they were just doing their due diligence. They wanted to be fair. They were extremely nice people, okay? And they didn't know what they had. So for them, it made sense to have other people bid on it, which totally I get. I came in and I knew, and I think I told you this too, like, there's no way we're getting this. No matter what we say number-wise, there's no way we're getting this.
Yeah, you said that, but then at the same time, for every time you said that, you said 2 other times, but what if we can get it? We got to try to get it.
Yes.
Like, you were really, really
Right.
hungry, but you're also like, I think probably telling yourself that you need to be chill because it's not going to probably happen today.
It's not, right. And you and I were talking, we were like, okay, well, maybe I'll say this number, and then you come in and be like, well, if it helps seal the deal to help my buddy get this collection, I'll throw an extra whatever at it just to see if that would help get emotion. But you didn't get a reaction. So it was just like, okay, so come with a semi-decent number right now, all right, and let's just start this process. And that number I came with was $50,000 more than the other people who offered it, all right? And I thought I was in a great place, but no, that left them the opportunity to use that and leverage it against me and see if anybody else would want to beat that number.
For months.
For another 8 weeks probably after that. So it's like, it's a little frustrating because that kind of put me in a situation like, oh no, now we're in a bidding war. The bidding is my own number. And it just kept going. But I get it. Now, the thing that threw me for a loop was talking to friends. And that's kind of where you got to be careful, okay? Like, you don't want to talk too much, because if you talk too much, especially for a local collection, it gets out. The less people that know, the better. My concern was that a Heritage would sneak in, Comic Connect would sneak in, because the second I know they're involved, it's done. I lost it, because it's going to be more like, we'll take each book, we'll sell it for you, and we'll give you the money, okay? And it's so...
They can make the deal however they want to seal it because there was so much inventory.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they can say, hey, we won't give you any fees on this Sensation 1, but we'll give you, a benefit somewhere else where we make money. And it's like they have more options because they're just a giant company.
Right, and they don't have to really put any money out.
No, they can lose money if they really want to. They could do it all for the marketing.
Yeah, they'll just make their promise to them, and then they'll just take it all away.
And it doesn't mean that they're going to actually make more money in the back, like on the bottom line as far as these sellers.
It's a better option. Let's be realistic. With a huge collection, okay, you can either sell it privately to somebody and get it all done, or you send it to an auction house, and this large of a collection will take, for them, I mean, they probably wouldn't even want all of it, to be honest, but they would take all of it, they'll parcel it out, and it'll take 2 years plus.
Right.
So you either get all your money up front now, and then you take that money and you make it work for you and investments and all that, or you wait, you get a small thing up front, and then you get money 2 years down the road in little chunks, okay? So that's the positive and negatives of doing an auction house with a huge collection, okay, and or selling it privately. I did not think they were involved, but the longer it took to deal with this every day that it's out there information with 2 other people, the more I got concerned that someone else is going to step in.
So you're listening to friends, and what were they telling you that was making the process possibly go in a way that wasn't to our benefit? Because keep in mind, Comic Fam, I'm an investor in this, and I helped throughout the entire process from the initial day to like removing all of the inventory and everything. But Jeff is the main investor in this, and you are the main point of contact. How did your friends affect your business dealing, and how did that possibly hurt the deal and make it so that you almost didn't secure it?
For this collection, and I've had a lot of experiences buying collections and losing collections, and generally it's because you're not aggressive enough. But like I'm a good judge of character, and we've met these people. We spent all day with them, okay? So I thought I had a good vibe, but as the time went on and I was talking to friends, they were like, no, you got to seal this. There's probably nobody else. They're just jacking you around, all right? And I'm talking to friends. I was like, no, I don't really feel that's the way what's happening. But as the number keeps getting bigger and you keep going, you're feeling like, am I just outbidding myself? Okay, and I'm just like, God, I don't know. And I started doubting it, all right? And they were consistent. They were always like, trust the process. We're just doing this all the way through. And I was like, I want to trust them. And this little voice on my shoulder is like, don't trust them, don't trust them. And I'm like, and then so I got to this point where I was like trying to end it sooner. So I was being more aggressive. Like, listen, I am your buyer. I promise you, I will offer you more. I am your buyer, okay? And I offered them multiple numbers, okay? And then they gave me a call, okay? And at one point, and I was driving home. It was late. It wasn't that late, but it was dark already. I had my kids in the car, and they called me, and they're like, hey, Jeff, you are the highest number, but we're going to go with bidder B. And I was like, whoa, what's going on here? Like, why am I the highest and I'm out? Okay. And I pull the car over, okay, safely, of course. I get out. And for the next 30 minutes, 40 minutes, I'm having a conversation with them, trying to just understand. And they're expressing to me like, we just didn't like your manner of the way you're dealing and the way you're talking and how you're trying to rush us through this process and da-da-da-da-da-da. And like, I get it. And it hit me then. I was like, God damn it. I knew I should just trusted myself and just gone through the process. And now I'm having to backpedal, explain that like I've been involved in this for 10 plus weeks. Okay. So, apologizing, excuse me if I'm being a little more aggressive. That wasn't my plan, but I strongly believe that I am your best buyer and I will, give you the best number. And so as my kids are sitting in the car and I'm pacing for 30, 40 minutes here,
they're both in the car this entire time?
They're both in the car this entire time. Thank God they have cell phones because, they tried to get me to stop. They're like, Dad, what are we doing? Hey, I want to go.
Dude, they're going to like grow up and be like, yeah, I just remember being with Dad and he just would pull the car over and start freaking out about comic books, like just pacing on the side of the road.
Yeah, I was just trying to be sincere and express to them, like, I've been stuck in this for 10 plus weeks at least. So these people have been part of it like 4 weeks. So they're not as like emotionally drained, have gone through this long turmoil, this odyssey with them. Okay. And I just, like I said, I realized that I shouldn't listen to my friends. I should listen to my gut. And then by the end of it, so it isn't really the husband's family that's collecting it. It's the wife. So he's having the conversation with me and breaking the news to me. And I think he's the in between because for her, it might have been a little too difficult to just be more biased or whatnot. But he told me he would call me back. Okay. And he's like, all right, let me talk to her and see how she feels. Okay. I listen, I hear what you're saying, Jeff, and I understand. Give me a moment. I'm going to go talk to her. So we hang up. And at this point, I was like, okay, I'm going to drive somewhere else. Okay. I can't make it home, but I'm going to go somewhere where it's more open and then leave the kids in the car again. Oh my God. I get another phone call and I have to wait for this phone call. I don't want to miss it. I'm in an area where I might not get phone reception. Okay. So I stop literally right before that line. It's my neighborhood. I know exactly where I'm going to drop a call and I don't want to miss it because if I miss it, maybe they'll be like, oh, I'll leave a voicemail and then I'll just drop them and it'll be easy. But if I have to talk to them, maybe it's not as easy to say no. So I park somewhere safer and I'm getting out of my car again. It's a beautiful night. All right. I'm walking around. Kids are stuck again for another 20 plus minutes in the car. All right. I get a phone call and they give me their blessing again and say, okay, Jeff, we will let you back in, but please stop it with the pressure. Okay. And I said, absolutely. I'm going to trust the process and go through it. Okay. So this whole thing from getting the first phone call, you're out, to now you're back in is probably an hour. Okay. So I literally almost lost this collection because I didn't trust myself and I was listening to other people. Okay. And thank God I got back in because that next bid I made was the final winning bid.